Imagine you're 18 years old. You're just about to graduate high school and on the brink of your adult life. As the old saying goes, the world is your oyster. Until that oyster becomes a curveball thrown at you and you discover you're going blind. That's what happened to today's stranger. He's going to share his story and how it pushed him to go after his dream. Hi, I'm Matt Hayes, and this is episode number 32 of Meet a Stranger. A few weeks ago, I was walking through Washington Square Park in the middle of New York City when today's stranger was working on a video project. We struck up a quick conversation about his journey to New York City, and I thought I'd have a quick chat with him for the podcast. I asked him a simple question, just curious what he would say, and his answer was not what I expected at all. Yet the message and the insight that he shared was something we all could learn from. Take a listen. Tell me something that people would be surprised to hear and learn about you.
I'm originally from Oklahoma, but the most surprising thing about me is I actually have a rare eye disease that caused me to go blind in high school for 3 months. It's an eye disease called AMPI, which is extremely rare to happen in one eye, but I was lucky enough to get it in both. And basically it's just swelling of the retina that unplugs your vision, and it's very uncommon, so doctors were basically just like, we have to wait and see. Maybe you'll get your sight back, maybe you won't. And luckily, I got it back and only lost about 20% of my vision, decided to become a photographer and move to New York.
That's amazing. So do you still have 20% of your vision that is lost, or have you been fully healed?
Yep, so I still have 20% of my vision that is gone. And basically, it's not the quality of my vision that's bad. It's just there's scarring there. So it's kind of like just grayed out blobs in my vision, kind of like eye floaters. So basically I just have that. They're just really big and they block out vision.
You said this was in high school. How old were you?
I was 18. It was actually happened right around December of my senior year of high school. So, and that's right around time, Christmas and my birthday and stuff like that. So I got to spend those 2 months just kind of at home, listen to a lot of stand-up comedy because that's the only thing you don't need eyes for, really.
Yeah.
And that was about then.
So being 18, your entire life is ahead of you, and that happens to you. That must be a bit of a scary moment like that. What was going through your head?
It was very scary, and you're kind of thinking, you're like, wow, I had all these plans. You're about to graduate high school, and you're like, I'm going to go to college and do all these things in my life, and you're like, are those things just off the table now? I was really upset with myself that I never learned how to play piano or anything. I was like, I could have been the next Ray Charles. But I didn't really have any skills. Everything I had, I worked at a Foot Locker at the time, and I was like, that was my biggest concern. I was like, I can't go work at Foot Locker now, or I was like, I can't, move anywhere, or do anything with my life, or it'd be drastically hindered around my vision. Yeah. So I was just basically thinking of finishing my education, and I was like, I'm gonna have to learn Braille, and I'm gonna have to learn how to walk with a stick and get a seeing eye dog. So I was just trying to. At 18, you really don't know what your life's going to look like anyway. So at that point, I'm just trying to figure all that on top of possibly being blind doing all of that.
Yeah. So once you were first diagnosed, how long did it take for you to learn that you would be able to see again? Or was there a period of time where you were going through that thinking that I might be blind for the rest of my life? What were the doctors telling you?
So it disappeared really quickly. My vision, it started out with a few eye floaters, kind of like when you stare into the sun on accident and you're kind of blinking. That happened in probably a few days time.
Yeah.
And after I went and talked to a doctor, they were like, we really don't know what's going to happen, and we just kind of have to wait and see. And I went in for weekly visits where they injected me with dye, and they numbed my eyes and tried to look at everything. And but after about 2.5 months, it slowly started to come back as the swelling on my retinas went down. And they're like, we just have to keep seeing how much it's going to improve until they finally decided, they're like, okay, we think, after about 2.5, 3 months, they're like, we think you're stable now, and it's probably this is where it's going to stay. Mm-hmm. And that's when we started looking at corrective, vision for regular eye stuff of getting glasses and stuff.
Yeah. When you're a teenager, and we all have our high school friends, it's a different time when you have friendships. Friends are different. We're teenagers. We have certain attitudes and things like that. What was that like going to your friends when you're just a kid to say, hey, I might have this life-changing experience? Were they supportive, or what was that like?
Funny enough, it was a really humbling experience. During that 2.5 months, I actually had not a single person come visit me from school or my so-called friends.
Wow.
So, that was a really like eye-opening experience, I guess, of like, it was really humbling. And I actually had a girlfriend at the time who was, as supportive as you can expect someone to be in that circumstance at 17, 18 years old.
Yeah.
Actually after like all of that went away and years down the line after we had split, she told me, she's like, I wish I wanted to not be with you anymore, but that was just so much pressure on an 18-year-old that like, am I going to have to stay with this person that we envision this life together that I can't see now? And totally understandable, but I was from a small town and she's like, didn't want that social backlash of leaving her blind boyfriend.
Yeah.
But no, totally understand where she was coming from. But yeah, I really just had my family and myself during that time. And after I went back to school, it was easy to cut ties, I guess. So I was just like, that was probably a time where I needed a lot of support, and I found out who I could rely on.
Yeah. How old are you now?
28.
28. So looking back now, 10 years later, what have you learned about yourself? How do you look at that experience now, and how would you say it shaped you where you're at today here being a photographer in New York City?
It was an incredible experience because I'm not a religious person, but I did a lot of bargaining with God when I was blind. I was like, I'll make the most out of everything. And after that, I did go to college, ended up dropping out, but, I became a photographer, moved to New York City by myself with nothing. I led a 6-year fight career as a, Muay Thai artist, and I really just let myself try every single thing that I wanted to try, because this eye disease that I have, although it is rare that it happened once, there is a possibility that it will come back someday, and I could not be so lucky to get my vision back if it does come back. So I, try and remind myself that, if I do wake up blind again, that I got the most out of it, my second chance.
Man, I remember being 18 and thinking I had the whole world in my hands. It was all right in front of me. I couldn't imagine having all that thrown into question by something like that happening to me. It happens to the best of us, no matter how old we are. Yet at 18 years old, he was able to get some great insights out of it. He made the most out of that second chance he felt he was given in life. What a great message we could take away from it. No matter what happens, you make it happen. It might be a little different than what we originally expect because, there are logistics. Certain things in life do happen, and maybe we can't go exactly after what we wanted. But what if in that, we can still find something absolutely amazing to do with our lives? Thank you so much to stranger number 32 for taking a few minutes to chat with me, and good luck with your new business. I hope we get a chance to work together again. And thank you, dear stranger, for taking a moment to meet a stranger today. As we start off the summer of strangers, if you have a story, I'd love to hear about it. A story about a stranger you met, a random conversation that happened, even if it's a quick little 30-second thing that made your day. I'd love to hear about it. Tell me about it in my DMs on all those evil social media channels. You can slide into them on Instagram at GoMeetAStranger or at Matt Hayes. Until next time, thanks for taking a minute to chat with me today. I'm Matt Hayes. Onward.